Hi, I'm Lucy Alden, and this is Your Brain Explained. Here to make your brain work for you, not against you. Today, I'm talking about authenticity, and I'm going to use one teeny tiny infamous burger bite as our case study. Hi, I'm really excited today to try this burger. That's a product. Okay, what just happened here? Because your brain noticed something and it didn't like it. It also didn't like this.
That is so good. That's a big bite for a big arch. It's a delicious product.
So unless you've been living under a very large, very heavy rock, you probably saw the video. A fast food CEO picks up one of their own burgers, takes a bite so small it could be classified as a nibble, and then calls the burger a product. And well, after that, the internet essentially lost its mind. Wendy's posted, Burger King posted. Every fast food joint with a burger, a social media manager, and an iPhone decided they had opinions and posted. But why? Why did this one video produce such a large collective reaction of viral videos, commentary, and spoofs? The answer is in your brain, and it's actually fascinating. First up, basic psychology. Your brain is essentially a prediction machine. Every single second, it's running simulations, working to anticipate what's about to happen next based on your experiences, patterns, and context. So when a CEO picks up a burger and says, "I love this product," it basically breaks your brain. Your brain has an expectation, and it knows what genuine excitement looks like. And that bite did not match the expectation. The mismatch between what you expected and what actually happened is what's called cognitive dissonance, or what happens when behavior conflicts with what you expect or what you believe. And it's deeply uncomfortable. So uncomfortable that your brain's instinct is to do something about it, text about it, talk about it, make a meme about it. That discomfort was the engine behind this virality. But here's the layer that made this moment feel not just weird, but downright wrong. There's a famous psychologist called Jonathan Haidt, and he wrote a book called The Righteous Mind. And in it, he found that people in positions of power who show up as being unfair or fake trigger an emotional response that doesn't just simmer, it burns. And it's not just anger, it's what's called moral anger. And this moral anger is something that we feel that we have a duty to share. So when we watch somebody who makes millions take a tiny microscopic unenthusiastic bite of a burger that millions of people around the world not only eat, but hourly employees spend a lot of time making, it triggers something in us. Your brain doesn't just register the moment as awkward, it registers it as unfair. And your instinct to share it, mock it, meme it, is not just you being petty, it's your moral circuitry doing its work to make sure that you're doing the right thing by not just you, but your community. And then there's the third piece, which is honestly my favorite. The memes weren't just funny, they were social glue. During a time where everyone feels completely disconnected, all these videos, CEOs of other burger joints delightfully relishing in a bite allowed us to connect with each other, to laugh, to feel like we were all in on this big thing together. And that's pretty powerful stuff. Psychologists call this in-group bonding through shared mockery. And it's one of the fastest ways that humans create community and connect to one another. Finding something that we all decide we don't like is a way to connect. It's part of why gossip and having those rivalries against different sports teams, you can see what a fan I am, exist, and why they bring us closer together. So the internet didn't just mock this poor CEO, it really became a village. Okay, quick bonus, I had to squeeze this in there. This isn't just all psychology, hearts, and rainbows. At the end of the day, there is a slight dark side to why this thing went viral. And it's what's called schadenfreude, There we go. Back in 2007, Susan Fiske at Princeton University did some research. And what she found was that high status people who come off as cold or disconnected trigger this response, which is really about the satisfaction of watching somebody completely out of touch fail. We don't just feel uncomfortable, we actually want to see them stumble. And this feeling might not be right, but it's very real. So yeah, that's at play too. So what do we do with this? Here is what your brain is telling you. Authenticity is not a soft skill. It's a survival skill. People aren't just noticing when you're performing, they are wired to detect it. And whether you're a manager, a parent, a performer, or simply public speaking on a Zoom call, the moments where your words and your body and your reactions don't match, people feel it. The good news is that the inverse is also true. When your words and actions are aligned, when you are genuinely engaged and believe in what you're saying and doing, that's where trust lives. And frankly, it's where connections happen. And for the love of all that is holy, if you're gonna eat a burger, especially on camera, make sure you eat the burger. Okay, so here's where the mind work comes in, or the exercise that I have you do that helps make sure that when you have a big presentation, event, or place that you want to show up authentically, you can really do that with gusto. This exercise is called a body scan check-in, and it's based on the theory of interoception, which is basically your brain's ability to read your own internal state. It turns out that most inauthenticity is not a choice. It starts because we don't know how we're personally feeling in the first case. Especially when you're nervous about going to a party or presenting or just trying to be a normal CEO eating a normal burger but having to do that on camera in front of millions of people. I'm so sorry, Chris. That must have been really hard. So here's what you do. Before any big moment, where being authentic is going to be important, not just to you, but for the people surrounding you, to get them on board and excited about whatever it is you're saying or doing. You're going to pause for about 60 seconds and ask yourself these 3 things. Now, before we dive into those 3 things, I highly recommend you either close your eyes or grab a pen and piece of paper and start writing some of the answers to these down. The first question is, what am I actually feeling right now? Not what you want to be feeling or should be feeling, but truly, what are you feeling? And if you're struggling to figure out what that feeling word is, by all means, pull up an emotion wheel. They're not just for kindergartners, they're actually for all of us. Most of us don't have what's called emotional granularity, or the ability to identify the exact emotion we're feeling, which makes it really hard to deal with. So I see you, burger CEO, who gets on camera and is feeling nervous. You're not supposed to be nervous. You're used to talking to millions of people, but you're not used to taking a bite in front of millions of people. So step 1 for you, you're probably feeling a little nervous and maybe even awkward. The second question is, where do I feel this in my body? Are you feeling tightness in your chest, a fluttering in your stomach, redness or heat in your face? I see you, CEO. This is actually tension all over your body. It's okay, you're on camera, but where you feel that in your body is the question and answer we're looking for. Now, the third question is, what I'm about to say or do consistent with that feeling? Now, if the answer is no, don't do it. Find a way to be more authentic and real. Now, in the case of this CEO who had to get on camera, it would have actually been better for him to say, hey, I'm really nervous, I'm really uncomfortable, I'm gonna eat on camera for the first time. That would have felt like a human moment, instead of pretending to muscle through and ignore the awkwardness that we all frankly felt. That's it. 60 seconds, 3 questions. And research shows that simply naming the feeling that you have reduces emotional static enough for you to simply understand how you're feeling, and can make you automatically feel a bit more authentic to the people around you, which will allow you to show up more congruently and frankly more like yourself, which, as it turns out, is exactly what your brain and what everybody around you is really hoping for. If this hit home, go ahead and share it with somebody who loved that meme, loves burgers, or is honestly just curious about virality in general. And if you want more tools like this, check out last week's episode, where we talked a bit about la pause and the power of counting as a simple tool to de-escalate any sort of trigger moment. I'm Lucy Alden, and this has been Your Brain Explained, here to help you win the moment. And if you liked this episode, go ahead, subscribe, like, and/or comment. I'll see you next week.
Okay, that's actually really good. Chris, I know you know that. We all know you're nervous, bro. That's okay. Now people know why. Hopefully you do too.